In the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, where the horizon blurred into eternity and the waves whispered secrets of the deep, Lieutenant Elias Hawthorne stood at the helm of the USS Valor. Elias was a man, forged in the fires of adversity, his name evoking the ancient strength of oaks and the quiet wisdom of poets. Born in a small coastal town in Maine, he had grown up watching the sea claim his father's fishing boat in a merciless storm. That tragedy at the tender age of 12 could have drowned his spirit, but instead, it ignited a fire within him, a relentless drive to conquer the waters that had taken so much. Elias joined the U.S. Navy at 18, his piercing blue eyes reflecting the ocean's depth, and his broad shoulders carrying the weight of unspoken dreams. He wasn't the tallest or the strongest in his boot camp class, but his resolve was unbreakable. Never give up, his mother, Isabella Hawthorne, had whispered to him on his departure day, her voice trembling like autumn leaves. Isabella, a resilient widow with hair like spun silver and a heart of gold, had raised him alone, teaching him that true heroes weren't born, they were made through trials. Years passed and Elias rose through the ranks, earning commendations for his tactical brilliance and unyielding courage. But it was during Operation Tidal Fury in 2018 that his legend truly began. The USS Valor, a guided missile destroyer, was patrolling volatile waters near the South China Sea when intelligence reports warned of an impending typhoon. The storm, dubbed Leviathan by the crew, was no ordinary gale. It was a monstrous force with winds howling at 150 knots and waves towering like ancient titans. As the ship plunged into the heart of the tempest, chaos erupted. Lightning fractured the sky, illuminating the frantic deck where sailors battled to secure lines and equipment. Elias, then a young ensign, was in the engine room when disaster struck. A massive rogue wave slammed into the starboard side, flooding compartments and crippling the propulsion system. Alarms blared like banshees, and the ship listed dangerously, threatening to capsize. In the dim, flickering lights of the flooding engine room, Elias found himself trapped with his best friend and fellow sailor, Marcus Reed. Marcus, a jovial giant from Texas with a laugh that could calm storms, had been like a brother to Elias since basic training. But now Marcus was pinned under a fallen beam, his leg crushed, blood mixing with the rising seawater. "Go, Eli!" "Save yourself," Marcus gasped, his face pale as moonlight. Elias's heart pounded like thunder, but he refused to abandon his comrade. "We're getting out together." "Or not at all," he declared, his voice steady amid the roar. With salt water stinging his eyes and the ship groaning in protest, Elias improvised. He grabbed a hydraulic jack from a nearby toolkit and wedged it under the beam, pumping with all his might. His muscles screamed in agony, veins bulging like ropes on a mast, but he didn't stop. Inch by inch the beam lifted, freeing Marcus just as another wave crashed, flooding the room to their waists. Dragging Marcus through the corridors, Elias navigated the tilting vessel like a ghost in the machine. The crew above deck fought their own battles. Captain Sophia Lang, a formidable leader with raven hair and eyes sharp as eagles' talons, barked orders to stabilize the ship. Sophia had mentored Elias, seeing in him the potential she once doubted in herself after losing her own squad in a previous mission. "Hold the line," she commanded, her voice cutting through the wind. But below, Elias's ordeal was far from over. The main power failed, plunging them into darkness. With Marcus slung over his shoulder, Elias felt the cold grip of despair. Memories flooded him. His father's final wave from the doomed boat, Isabella's tearful goodbyes, the endless drills where instructors screamed, "Quit now or fight forever." He chose to fight. Using his knowledge from countless simulations, he manually rerouted auxiliary power, his hands blistering on the hot wires. Sparks flew like fireflies in the abyss, but the lights flickered back on, and the bilge pumps roared to life, expelling the invading sea. Emerging onto the deck, Elias handed Marcus to the medics, who rushed him to safety. The storm raged on, but Elias didn't rest. He joined the bridge team, plotting a course through the eye of Leviathan. For hours he calculated wind patterns and wave heights, his mind a whirlwind of equations and instincts. "We can thread the needle," he insisted to Captain Lang, who nodded with grim determination. Under his guidance, the USS Valor maneuvered through the narrow calm at the storm's center, emerging battered but unbroken as the typhoon dissipated. The aftermath revealed the true cost. 3 crew members lost to the sea, including young Ensign Lila Brooks, a bright-eyed recruit from California whose dream was to sail the world. Lila's death haunted Elias, a reminder that even heroes couldn't save everyone. Yet in the debriefing, survivors credited his actions with saving dozens more. Marcus, recovering in a hospital bed with a prosthetic leg, gripped Elias's hand. "You never gave up on me, brother. That's what makes you a hero." Elias was awarded the Navy Cross, the second highest honor in the service, for his extraordinary heroism, but medals meant little to him compared to the lives preserved. Returning home to Maine, he knelt by his father's grave, the sea breeze carrying whispers of approval. Isabella, now frail but proud, embraced him. "You honored us all, my son," she said, tears glistening like dew. Years later, Elias became Captain Hawthorne of his own ship, mentoring a new generation. He shared his story not for glory, but to inspire. The ocean tests us, breaks us, but it can't defeat us if we refuse to yield. In quiet moments, he thought of Lila, Marcus, and the countless sailors who faced the unknown. His journey taught him that true strength lay not in muscles or machines, but in the unbreakable will of the human spirit. One fateful deployment in 2023 tested that will anew. During a humanitarian mission off the coast of a war-torn nation, the USS Endurance, Elias's command, encountered pirates in the dead of night. Armed with rocket launchers, they boarded the ship, taking hostages including young seaman Arya Voss, a talented navigator with fiery red hair and a spirit as fierce as the waves. Arya, orphaned young like Elias, had joined the Navy seeking purpose. The pirates demanded ransom, but Elias knew negotiation was futile. Drawing on his past, he orchestrated a daring rescue. Under cover of darkness, he led a small team in a stealth assault, his heart racing but his focus laser-sharp. Gunfire echoed, but Elias pressed on, disarming foes with precision honed from years at sea. He reached Arya just as a pirate raised his weapon. In a blur, Elias tackled the assailant, the two tumbling into the churning waters. Clinging to debris, Elias fought the currents, pulling Arya to safety. "Why risk it all for me?" she gasped, shivering in the cold. "Because we never leave our own behind," he replied, echoing the creed that defined him. The mission succeeded, pirates captured, hostages freed. Arya went on to become a decorated officer, often saying, "Captain Hawthorne taught me that giving up isn't in our vocabulary." Elias Hawthorne's legacy endures in the U.S. Navy annals, a sailor who stared into the abyss and stared back unblinking. His story, woven with loss, camaraderie, and triumph, reminds us that heroes walk among us, their power not in capes or crowns, but in the quiet vow never give up. In the end, it's not the storms we weather, but the resolve we summon that defines our voy.